Arr, grog.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Cider Shed podcast. I'm Matthew Weir. I'm here with Keri. Keri, have you ever bought knocked off meat? Be honest.
No, but I do remember people going around pubs in Yorkshire in particular with trays of meat. And you know when you have like meat raffles, I always think they're potentially a bit dodge, those meat prizes.
I'm thinking particularly of not so much the raffle, but I remember Eastville Market on a Sunday in Bristol. There used to be a guy that had the mic and he was doing like the hard sell, you know, that thing where he's like, I'm not going to sell you this topside. No, madam, I'm not going to sell it for this price. And he was just really wheeling and dealing.
I'm practically giving it away.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. It's really dodgy. No, I don't think I would buy knockoff meat, really. You don't know how it's been handled and stored, do you?
I think you predicted that Markie might be involved in this somewhere along the line, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And you bloody said something, and I said, well, I'm a bit affronted. I thought I was onto something. I think you laughed at me.
I did.
Yes. Yeah, there he is. So Freddie bought meatballs off him, I think. Yeah.
All right, let's have a little bit of a break, and then we'll talk about it properly, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for a meaty bargain this weekend, don't forget to check out Markie's Meats. This dynamic new pop-up will be trading out the back of a white van at all the best pubs in Borsetshire. The Pack of Wolves, the Crotchley Pants, even the Badger's Arse. We look forward to meeting you. Just don't pet the dog.
One thing that people never really think about that much are their famous last words. And when it comes to being a pargeter, Nigel's last words were, I think I've got it now. And then he slid off the roof. Well, his actual last words were like a piercing scream. Had things gone wrong on Wednesday night, Freddie's last words would have been, I'm only buying meatballs, Vince.
I loved that. That was the final line of the episode, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was a bit reckless there, Freddie, wasn't he? And Vince, all Vince was bothered about was Freddie not telling Lizzie that he'd made him do it. He wanted to sort of relinquish any responsibility for fear of getting into bother with Lizzie, who I think, didn't Freddie say that they'd been in a hot tub this week?
They had, yeah.
So I don't really see Elizabeth as a hot tub babe.
When Vince had his house party and David and Ruth went up there was a hot tub mentioned, I think. But they were away on holiday in this case, weren't they? I think he had a hot tub up at Casa Casey as well.
I still don't understand why Elizabeth is with Vince.
That bit where Vince said, do you think he'd have liked me, your dad? I was just like, no way. He would have thought you were as common as muck. New money. And Freddie paused for a little bit and went, yeah.
He did a high-pitched voice. And then went, you're not likeable straight away. But then you kind of get better. He was being damned with faint praise there, I think.
And do you actually believe Nigel would have liked Vince?
No.
No.
No. Really brash, uncouth character, isn't he? And also, he's got a bloody temper on him. I just wish Elizabeth wasn't with him, really.
There's lots of mentions of death this week. There was Freddie's car was mentioned as having a death rattle. Didn't Vince allude to it being quite an emasculating vehicle as well?
What did he say? This is not a man's car or something?
Yeah, and Freddie said, I'm not worried about manliness. And he went, no, your generation, they're not. And then he did that kind of thing where he went, not that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, a bit of backpedaling. But you can see what he really thinks, can't you? By his immediate comments.
What do you think Freddie is driving round then?
Is it like a noddy car or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very manly. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking one of those little smart cars, those little tiny ones.
With 2 seats in.
Yeah, and they're crammed into it following like dodgy meat traders.
And you can park them sort of sideways where the front of the car's facing into the middle of the road, can't you? In little parking spaces.
Yeah. Thus making it impossible for people who've parked in normal cars to actually get out of the space.
Yeah.
And given that Markie is Black Country, not Brummie, they said the pub he was selling it from was the Pack of Wolves, but I thought he said at the back of Wolves, like round the back of the Molyneux.
I thought they said at the back of Wolves. I did think the pub was called Wolves. and that Vince's car would look far too flash to be at that pub.
That was a good point by Freddie, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, see? You need me.
You didn't think of that, did you? And Freddie was sharing with Vince. Oh, no, it wasn't with Vince, wasn't it? Who was he sharing with that he feels sorry for Jason?
Chelsea.
Yeah, that's it.
She was like, what, the bloke that was nicking meat?
Yeah. Oh, actually, he did say it to Vince as well, didn't he? About the skiing trip and that he's just trying to pay for that. And he was like, yeah, well, it doesn't mean he has to nick it from me, does it? Freddie's genius move of saying, look, just tell us everything about anything you know and you might keep your job. And then Vince just didn't uphold that. I wonder whether that's going to come back and bite Freddie.
Well, the last thing we heard, Jason go, oh, really? After denying it for about 3 minutes. Jason was clearly nervous because there was this moment, wasn't there, Keri, at the beginning of the proceedings?
Take a seat, lads.
That made me laugh so much. I'm such a child.
Keri messaged me and said, please make a little clip of that for me, please, the fart noise.
Can you play it again?
Yeah, of course I can, Keri. Anything for you on a day like today.
Thank you.
Take a seat, lads.
Oh, so good, so good. What was the other thing I asked you to tape?
You asked me.
Oh, I know what it was. Fallon and Harrison's appalling laughter.
Yep, here it is.
It was a pie lie.
She doesn't half take a run up to that laugh, doesn't she? One more time.
It was a pie lie.
Good heavens.
Either that or she's been on the quiche.
Sounds like it.
We know that Markie, he likes setting fire to things. So
Yes.
do you think Lower Loxley's going to go up as well?
Oh my goodness. Could be, couldn't it? Yeah. I mean, Markie's revenge is something that they need to be wary of. Because Vince knew straight away, oh my God, that's Markie, and revealed to Freddie what he's been doing to Jolene at the Bull. I don't know, is it the right thing to do to just shop him? What are they going to do? Are they going to tell the police? Are they going to deal with it themselves? What's happening?
It's very strange, isn't it? I didn't know that Vince even knew what he looked like. I just thought he had a name.
Yeah, how does he know what he looks like?
Mark is probably on Facebook as criminal.
But how does he know what he looks like? Did he say to Jolene, oh, I remember him from back in the day? Was there any of that?
He didn't say anything like that. He said, I got a name, but he didn't say he knew what he looked like. So how did he know that was him?
Yeah. Do you think he's actually involved with him himself?
Don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I mean, he strikes me as having had criminal dealings, does Vince?
Well, he said something to the effect of Jolene, like, I've moved in those circles. Well, he knows that world. So maybe, yeah.
Excellent. Well, anything that is revealed about him that means Elizabeth chucks him out, I'm all in favour of.
Maybe he lied about something.
It was a pie lie.
A meat pie lie.
I'm not playing it again.
No, that'll do. Yeah, I think that's the meat stuff covered, isn't it?
I mean, I said last week I was starting to suspect that there were things blossoming between Ben and Chelsea.
Yeah.
And this week they were kind of stuck together with this play that Linda wrote in honour of Aunt Connie. And I feel a bit bad now that we alluded that Aunt Connie might have actually been a member of the Nazi party last week.
We still don't know. She wasn't.
We don't know for sure now. But, you know, when she's washing Pearl's hair in the sink, it becomes slightly less likely.
I'm sorry, but what a pile of shit that Playlet was.
Linda missed the cricket for that.
Well, I suppose that's a plus, but but basically the Playlet was, she did a little speech, didn't she? And then in a nutshell, the Playlet was a letter from Ben, Pearl washing Connie's hair, phone call, Ben is dead.
Connie washing Pearl's hair, wasn't it?
Was it? Oh yeah, I put Pearl washes hair, actually. And that was it. I mean, no wonder it only took her a day to knock that pile of crap up.
Well, there was that point where Robert said, the cricket, Linda, it starts in 10 minutes. And she went, D-Day takes precedence. Well, no one told Sunak.
Because somebody said that Linda should have been in charge of arranging D-Day.
Oh, can you imagine? No, Squadron 4. You were not supposed to get cut down by German rifle fire the moment you look out on the beach. Back in the boat. They're all dead. Pathetic.
And Joy at that silly old D-Day. I mean, it was nice of Linda and Robert to recreate the D-Day landings in their front porch. But Joy had a bit of a moment, didn't she? She couldn't believe that in 1984 it was only 40 years since the D-Day landings, and that now, 40 years later, it's 80 years since the D-Day landing. I was like looking at my phone, listening to that. Have I actually lost the plot here? She's now fathoming how time works. Is that because of that bang on the head she had in the accident?
But they do that thing sometimes, don't they? Where they say it's as far away from this now as it was when X happened. And sometimes
Yeah.
it is a little bit shocking. There was a Madonna one not that long ago, wasn't it? Now we're as many years away from Madonna releasing Hung Up. You remember the one that sampled ABBA?
Mm-hmm.
As Hung Up was from Papa Don't Preach. Because Hung Up feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it feels like Hung Up came out years after Papa Don't Preach, but the gap is the same. I mean, D-Day, all right, but Madonna, Hung Up and Papa Don't Preach, that's a shocker.
I mean, just imagine, Matthew, one of your mates says, right, you're going to star in a play that I've written and you're starring in it next week with your ex.
Not so much an ex, the girl you got pregnant and there was a very public termination.
Yeah, that. And all the neighbours are going to come and watch you do it, and they'll be dressed in 1940s outfits.
When she said to Ben, you look like you've time travelled from 1944 in those clothes, and I bought this in Underwoods.
Yeah.
New release.
Yeah, that's because the clothes I'm wearing are from the 1940s. They were trying to make it like very sentimental, weren't they? You know, sort of saying, "Oh, look at Ben. He looks so very young, and that's the age that they were. You know, the ones who went off to." Yes, all right, we do get it. I wasn't a fan, really. Were you?
I'm respectful of it.
Oh, I'm respectful of the actual thing, not of this.
Was there anything else happening during that D-Day episode?
Hairdressing. Chelsea did Fallon's hair to the point where she thought Harrison would be really fancying her, and then said, "I wish someone looked at me the way Harrison looks at you." So Chelsea was like saying, "Nobody's ever fallen in love with me. I don't know what that's like." So again, layering on the stuff that's happening with her and Ben, maybe.
Yeah, and then I think it's that thing where for a moment, she's imagining that they were a couple in the play, in the Playlet, and he dies, and that never gets to happen for them. I think this is all part of the plot of sticking them together, possibly with Freddie being a bit awkwardly in between.
Yeah. I think she'll eventually end up with Freddie, and that this is just a bit of a blip, and it will make Freddie realise that he's got the hots and the heart for Chelsea. It also gave an opportunity for Emma to have a go at the typical Archer's Landed gentry.
There was one point where they weren't even involved and she still had a go at them. It was the bit about Mick's motorhome being parked in the car park at Grey Gables. Didn't Joy or someone say that, they're not too keen on it? And she went, typical Archer mentality. Well, she's half Archer. She's a pargeter. And I was like, he didn't even say Lily, did he? They didn't even mention it.
No. But she knows that she's like, working there, doesn't she? And also, I loved the bit Fallon was saying to Harrison, "I don't want you to die." And the episode ended with pretty much saying everyone dies.
Yeah, but he said he's not going to die for 53 years. So I think now those signs you have in work in industrial locations where it says number of days since last accident. I think we have to start doing that for without Harrison dying, because I feel like he's pretty much marked his card now. Do you know what I think?
He's going to get involved in Meatgate and get clonked or something.
No, I don't think
right,
so.
okay.
I think he's going to die confronting George about the crash.
Gosh, that's a biggie, isn't it? Have you envisaged the cause of death?
Well, I imagined a tower like the one in Hitchcock's Vertigo, but I don't really see that happening. Yeah, I don't know how. I got a feeling that it might even drag on in that he dies and George still continues to maintain the secret.
Good heavens. Excellent.
I don't know. I don't like the idea of Harrison dying. He's a constant source of amusement for me until recently when he's been a bit annoying. But I do feel his line of work versus the amount of criminality that suddenly seems to be going on in Ambridge.
Yeah, he's got to be involved somehow, hasn't he? Yeah, good point. There was another plot twist mentioned on Twitter. Elizabeth Wilhide on Twitter said, because, you know, Fallon was getting a bit tearful and like, I don't really know what's wrong with me at the moment. She reckons that maybe there's another baby inside Fallon and that it was twins and only one was lost.
But they didn't find any sign of
Heartbeat.
anything the next time, did they?
Yeah, but I thought that's quite a sort of interesting idea, isn't it?
For him, in a situation where maybe he dies and she keeps the baby.
And calls it Harrison.
Or calls it Pie. Somehow, Fallon had got it into her head that his favourite movie was Footloose.
Oh.
And was driving him up to Brookfield, to the barn for like a private screening of it.
Yeah. Oh, he didn't want any friends. He didn't want any fuss. I'm not in the mood for socialising. He's like, no, don't worry. It's just me and you and, special screening. It's your favourite film. And he listed films, didn't he? Point Break, Speed, Rogue One, Taxi Driver. It's like, no, none of those. Footloose. That was quite funny. But then he said, that's not my favourite film. She was like, you told me it was. I thought, what a gaslighting prick. You've made a quiz, haven't you?
I have.
I've made a quiz for you.
Okay, go on then.
Right, I have before me 5 quotes. And you have to tell me which of the 5 films mentioned are the quotes from.
And these are the films that Harrison talked about?
Yes.
Okay, go on then.
And the one that they're actually going to see.
I've never seen Chicago, just so you know.
Well, that isn't one of them. So
Okay, that was Fallon's favourite, wasn't it?
all right. Oh, was it? I didn't even hear that. Okay, so first quote. Days go on, they don't end.
Taxi Driver.
Bloody prick. Because you fucking made me a quiz, haven't you? You've probably got it written down.
I did Taxi Driver in media studies, in film studies, so...
Okay, well done. Tick, you can make a sound there as appropriate with your magic box of sounds. Quote 2, be careful not to choke on your aspirations.
Oh, Keri, it's Rogue One, it's Darth Vader to Director Krennic.
Bloody prick. Now, when he said Rogue One, Harrison, I didn't know that was a Star Wars film, so there we go. And when I looked it up, I thought, oh shit, Matthew will know that one. Because it's to do with Star Wars.
I've got to make a note of the ones I've said.
Okay, next. So this is 2 people speaking to each other. Well, I haven't noticed a wet t-shirt contest in town yet. And the other person says, yeah, well, I haven't either, but I'm waiting patiently.
The only ones left are Point Break, Footloose and Speed. The only one I don't ever remember seeing in my life is Footloose, so I'm going to say Footloose because I don't think it belongs in the others.
Bloody prick. Tick sound.
Oof!
Yeah, so we have 2 left. Quote number 4. This is our tactic. We strike fear. Once you get them peeing down their leg, they submit.
It's the ex-president in Point Break.
Bloody
Bank robbers.
prick. Also about fear. Fear causes hesitation, and hesitation causes your worst fears to come true. Yeah, that's Point Break. Haven't seen that film. So finally, I have to warn you, I've heard relationships based on intense experiences never
Sandra
work.
Bullock to Keanu Reeves after the bus blows up in Speed.
Yeah, bloody okay, we'll have to base it on sex then.
Yes! Have you ever seen Speed 2?
No.
It's really funny. What's the common denominator in those between 2 of those films anyway?
They've both got the word speed in them.
No, Keanu's in Speed and Point Break.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you meant between the 2 films you were just talking about.
Have you ever seen the episode of The Simpsons where Homer Simpson is trying to describe the movie Speed?
No, but it sounds like it would be good.
There was a bus, and if the speed of this bus slowed down, then the bus would explode due to the speed. So they had to maintain the speed of the bus so the speed didn't cause it to explode. I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down.
I think I have seen that film only once, and I did enjoy it at the time.
Speed 2 is insane. Keanu wouldn't show up for it because it was so ridiculous.
Oh, right, okay.
They got the long-haired guy from the Lost Boys, who was the kind of the good older brother in the Lost Boys, but he's practically unrecognisable in it because he's got a crew cut. Sandra Bullock's in it again, and they're on a cruise ship this time. And William Dafoe is a terminally ill guy that created the computer systems of the boat that they then sank. It's got one of the most insane closing sequences where he rams like the boat into the equivalent of somewhere like Venice, and it goes on for like 15 minutes.
This sounds like quite a good one to watch when stoned.
Yeah, I mean, it's so ridiculous, and you can see why Keanu was like, I'm not having anything to do with this. Like, I'm in the Matrix now, dude.
But Willem Dafoe, I'm surprised. I like him.
Yeah, he's running around the ship dressed up as a captain. It's very funny.
Okay, I might watch this in my leisure time over the next coming weeks.
Okay, well, I just scribbled down quotes from 3 of those films, so I don't think it won't make much for entertainment. But,
yeah, but were they different ones to the ones I gave to you?
Yeah, but I only had 3.
Yeah, well, go for it. I won't have a fucking clue, Matthew.
All my life needed was a sense of someplace to go.
Darth Vader.
It's Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver.
Oh, right, okay.
I got a feeling you might get this one. The only law that matters is gravity.
Ooh, Point Break? Bloody prick.
Yes.
Because they said law, and it sounds like that was a bit more of a serious film.
Well, they're surfers that are robbing banks with rubber masks of former presidents.
Oh, it's that one, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze, Keanu Reeves, Gary Busey.
Is it good?
I didn't like it, but I know it's very popular.
Oh, so is it interesting that is Harrison's top favourite film?
Well, there's law enforcement running around, and it's got Keanu Reeves being ace all the way through it, so maybe that does kind of tell us a little bit about how Harrison sees himself.
Cool, okay. Yeah. And finally?
I've yet to meet an ATM machine that would give me a piece of bazooka chewing gum, let alone make me feel special.
Taxi Driver.
Footloose.
It sounds like something that Travis Bickle would say, is that what his name is? Really angrily.
This Saturday on Borchester TV, join us on the latest hard-hitting detective drama, Meat Squad.
Me and the gaffer will be touring every dodgy pub in Borsetshire, looking for knockoff steaks, burgers and lamb shanks.
The Pack of Wolves, the Crotchley Pants, the Badger's Arse.
If there's meat there, we'll fucking find it.
So join me and the boy from the manor tonight on Meat Squad.
Fancy doing a cheeky half, Fancy?
Not while I'm on the job.
Do you remember, I don't know if it affected England or the UK, but there was like a pork crisis in Ireland just before Christmas about 12 years ago, where they had to take all of the bacon and pork products off the shelves. But I think it was only stuff that was being produced in Ireland. Do you have any memory of that at all?
Vague, the Irishness of it, yeah.
I think Marks and Spencer's was in Grafton Street in Dublin, was able to stock products from Denmark and I think maybe from the UK as well. It was a big thing because like the Irish Christmas ham is a massive deal.
Is it?
And I remember listening to the radio and some guy emailed in, say, I went to Blockbuster last night and asked if they had Footloose, Tremors and Hollow Man, and they said, sorry, all Kevin Bacon movies have been taken off the shelf.
Very good.
I like Kevin Bacon. Funny face.
Is that...
Oh, sorry if you're listening, Kev. He has got
a funny face, hasn't it?
He's got Zoe Wanamaker's face, hasn't he?
Zoe Wanamaker?
Yeah.
No, she looks like a sort of cat.
You never see them together.
She's got a big forehead.
Anyway, we digress. So,
haven't we?
Fallon Harrison, yes, at the moment they seem to be slightly on the mend.
She did say, though, didn't she? I'm not saying everything's fixed. I'm not saying it's all okay.
Well, I wouldn't be okay with you. He went off his fucking nut.
Exactly. It was a bit of a shame. He got a pass with that birthday event, didn't he? Not happy with that.
Also the sentimentality of the play as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Damn.
I mean, I may be way off with George finishing off Harrison or something similar, but George, the Echo are still chasing for an interview. Emma and George, she's back from her course, the tree surgery course, and they were saying how much they'd missed each other. she said, like, I went away and you turned into like a river rescue hero. And he's like, no, I don't want to talk about it. And she went, but it's brilliant for your socials.
I know. But he's saying it's actually cringe now. It's gone so far that it's cringe.
Bartleby's going to lead out the county show livestock presentation or something, isn't he?
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
When's that then? Will that be spotlight on George then?
Yeah, maybe Sunday or next week.
Oh, and also Ed and Emma have their first job.
Yes, from Hank made-up name.
Yeah, Frank Growcock, wasn't it?
I think it's Hank Growcott.
Oh,
This is like when Helen called into the midweek special from Fridge Farm.
yeah. So they've got their first job, and then Emma said some sort of weird pamphlet style, sort of like, yeah, because on our course they told us it's really good to get straight into a job, so with someone watching over you, so that you know what you're doing.
The attention net is drawing in on George, isn't it? He doesn't want it to be happening, but I don't think there's much he can do. Then they started talking about the situation at the stables, and Emma really ripped into Alice and how like it would be divine justice if she gets sacked because she nearly got Ed the push from home farm.
Yeah.
Because she was blaming him for her mistakes. George was kind of saying, she ain't that bad though, is she? And her and Chris were happy. And then they were kind of saying, I don't know how happy they ever were, really. It's all a bit he said, she said kind of
It's
thing.
a right pile on, isn't it? And Freddie, George said, oh, actually, I feel quite sorry for her. Interesting.
The thing that Ed threw in there was that it seemed like he was mostly happy to let it go that she has an addiction and it's an illness. But then he said, yeah, but she doesn't have to get in a car smashed and drive it. And of course, she did not do that. She pulled up into a lay-by to stay safe.
Yes, that was George's opportunity, one of many, to actually reveal what happened.
Yeah, it's gone too far now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder how much longer this is going to roll on.
Not too long, hopefully.
I mean, the current cast still have to be alive, right?
Yeah. And the listeners.
Emma's saying, my heroic, brave boy, you've turned into the real you. And Ed is saying, like, yeah, they're all saying nice things about you now, compared to, like, you know, what they were saying before. And Emma's like, Eddie. Well, they were saying he was a right little wanker before.
Yeah, because she sort of went, I was really worried about you going on the wrong path before. But now I see it's just a phase. It's fine. All gone, all done. So, no, not really. I mean, it's going to be fascinating when the truth does come out, how she handles that.
Yeah, he didn't really have much to say back to that, did he?
Yeah, and then we've got Mickey Thicky, who's bought a motorhome.
If you were dating someone and they moved out of their apartment without telling you and moved into a motorhome, how long would you give that relationship?
Oh, God. And parked it in the sort of car park of where they work. Oh, God, what is it with this guy? And also that whole thing about like, oh, I am working on reception because the rota has gone wrong. Well, you wouldn't go and work on reception, would you? You'd sort of wave the rota at someone going, this isn't right, before you go to reception. And Oliver had to make him brush his hair and bought some shoe polish at the shop. What state is this guy in? Even as a security chap, you'd think you're in a posh hotel, you need to look decent.
I don't even think it's about the state of Mick. What kind of state is Grey Gables in that Roy goes off to see Lexi and this was meant to be the pinnacle of hospitality in the area, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And pretty much they've got Oliver and Lily, who's only there for industrial espionage, who every time she shows someone round, she's like, but we've got better stuff at Lower Loxley, you know?
Yeah, the curtains are much nicer where I live.
Yeah, if I were you, I'd get the hell out of this place and go down the road to Lower Loxley.
Yeah, and Mick was like going, you do it, Lily, you do it. I was thinking, are they the only people in the whole bloody hotel?
Well, I mean, they can't get Brad to do it. He goes into a massive shit panic whenever they ask him to do anything other than carry bags.
Be loads of other stuff. Who was supposed to be on reception then?
Good question. Not Tracy, not Linda. They wouldn't come back. Adil's off in Pakistan having a whale of a time.
And Lily was like, "Oh, I've worked on rotors before. Maybe I can fix it." It's a bloody spreadsheet, isn't it? It's not some sort of like molecular physicist task.
Mick picked up the phone because Joy had rang to say they'd found the swanky sunglasses.
God, that was annoying as well. That she happened to ring at the point that he's on reception and answers the phone.
It's meant to be, Keri, I guess. What's your feeling about their kind of makeup conversation? Do you think Rochelle's a goner?
Another thing that annoyed me was when Joy went into the motorhome, she was like, "Fucking hell, it's a right stick." And she was going to start tidying it with one arm.
Yeah.
Don't do that. He's got two arms. Just because he's got a penis doesn't mean he's incapable of tidying something. I don't like Mick.
Oh, do you not?
No. Yeah, she did hint, didn't she? There are some things that I just can't speak about. And he sort of said, "Oh, I'll give you a hug. And you don't have to say anything you don't want to." And all the audience are like, "Yes, she does have to say everything about it. We want to find out."
Oliver, meanwhile, seems to be getting a little bit shitty with Lillian, not least because she can't say issue correctly.
Duke's got strangles.
As you said last week, they should have been like waving Oliver away when he was trotting along on Duke. I don't think strangles can be airborne, but I think flies can pass it. It's not completely.
Ooh, have you been looking it up, Matthew?
No, because it happens like where my dad lives. Like horse flies can transmit it, I think.
Because they've shut the whole stables down, haven't they? They're kind of quarantining, hemorrhaging money.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, I know. Oh dear, never mind.
I'm only going to have to buy one yacht to crash into a seal in the Isle of Wight this summer, darling.
And Lillian has had to speak to people crying on the phone.
That's just Justin when he can't find his toupee.
And yeah, Oliver's just sort of saying this is human error. He's homing in on something.
Yeah.
Jacob also said, "Are you sure that Alice wasn't pissed when she was working here?" No, she's not. I mean, Lillian's sticking up for Alice a bit, isn't she? Saying, "Well, I saw no signs of it. I believe her when she tells me X, Y, Z."
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of speculation as to when she reached to the back of the cupboard for that drink. Was that the first time she'd done it? Possibly not, because the bottle was already there, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so is the fault of Alice is the paperwork of cinnamon? Yes.
Well, they can't find the paperwork.
And Alice should have been all over that.
All right, so a little Friday insert.
Is it inserted between some dividers?
It is. It's inserted between the divider carrying the rest of the pod and the social media section. Well done, Keri. Luckily, I haven't rang any cranky old hunter boy wankers to tell them that I can't find it. You know how our country folk are. We really care about our animals. What about foxes, you fuck?
Would there be paperwork and dividers? Is it the 1980s?
Country ways, isn't it?
Really?
I like the way Lillian admitted that Justin's a total...
Yeah, that was one of my favourite bits. He's not nice. Of course he's not nice, is he? What the fuck are you with him for, other than his cash?
That is completely dysfunctional, isn't it?
Yeah, but she's not nice either sometimes. Really?
I was clicking through some old episodes the other night, and I think I found the episode Helen Met Rob for the first time.
Ah, did you?
There was a scene with Miranda and Justin in the house while Lillian was there kind of as a bit of a skivvy, and Miranda was really ripping into Lillian's appearance and how rough she was.
Oh, interesting.
Helen got an invite from Rob to go to dinner with Adam and Ian.
Okay, yeah.
And she was like, "Well, Ian's my best friend." And he was like, yeah, come round. And apparently Ian couldn't show up, so it ended up just being Adam, Helen and Rob. And someone wrote in the comments 5 years ago, "It's weird. The actor who plays Adam actually sounds like he can vaguely act in this clip and not like someone announcing what's next on UK Gold. What happened to him since?"
Oh, I wonder who wrote that. Maybe this is one that we can revisit in the future.
You remember the Eddie Grundy fan club letter?
Yeah.
There was a clipping in that had been badly photocopied from Venue magazine, which was the What's On magazine for Bristol, and it used to be quite good. until it wasn't, until it got bought up by the Bristol Evening Post, which was Daily Mail Group.
Okay.
And then it kind of started to go downhill. But there was one cutting from that which said, it was in the Personals ad, in venue, Bristol and Bath events in May, and they've signposted it with, "What's the world coming to?" And it says, "Lass 28, Archer's addict, needs male 28 to 40 to help kick the habit. No Eddie Grundys." If you are Lass 28 who put that ad in venue, would have been May 1986, please get in touch.
Yeah, did you ever find your 28 to 40 something year old
I know.
to kick the habit?
I just loved that. Sorry, I remembered I meant to say that. And
Very
forgot.
good.
Kerry, you go. Yeah, Harrison Fallon, he can't turn off the alarm.
Yeah, he can't turn the alarm off. Why did they do that? They're in bed. Neither of them wanted to get up. At least they're sort of sharing the bed rather than being on the sofa. They didn't have sex because
No, they cuddled.
Fallon was like, "Oh, you don't mind that we didn't?" And they had a nice cuddle.
That's the police sexual equivalent of getting a caution.
I did feel, though, there was some sort of vibe of the fact that Harrison's going to come a cropper.
Oh, it's being signposted so much. I mean, if it's misdirection, because it's really like, okay, well, I'm going now. I'll see you later. Yeah, of course you'll see me later.
Yeah.
You're going to give me a kiss?
Yeah. Oh, and also, especially because Fallon said, "Oh, I just want to say, everything's on the up."
Yeah, but even he said, don't say that.
Yeah. No, never say that. That means imminent catastrophe. But they could be playing with us as scriptwriters, couldn't they?
Some self-awareness from Harrison, though, where he said, like, I think we were living on an alien planet.
We are living in an alien planet. It's fucking Ambridge.
Yeah, and this idea that the dream that she was married, and he couldn't see the face of the bloke, but she was married, but I still loved you and you still loved me. This idea that he's not around anymore. She's married somebody else.
Yeah, the bloke turns round. And who is it?
Tony. But there's no face on the other side either.
That's no dream. That's a nightmare.
It's a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's something still not quite right between them.
Yeah, definitely. There's slight eggshells, isn't there? They seem to be moving in the right direction. And then, of course, Duke is going to die, and lots of other horses have it as well. Oliver's very depressed, isn't he?
They seem to be treating him as almost like he's depressed and unpredictable. They're worried he's going to bring the whole stables crashing down now with this information. Lillian went ahead and pointed the finger at Alice, didn't she?
She kind of said, and you'd be quite within your rights to say that, it was her, which in the end is actually me who's culpable. Heading him off at the pass a bit. And I expect she was hoping him to go, well, I would never do.
It's that bit where Lillian said, I feel like I could cry. And yeah, didn't Jakob say that? Well, maybe you should.
Yeah.
What was it he said? And she was like, don't be sarcastic. And he's like, I'm being serious.
I'm being sarcastic? Would he ever be sarcastic?
Kate says it cleanses her aura when she cries, which is completely ridiculous. But she's much nicer to me afterwards.
Peter Bowker, friend of the show, he tweeted this evening, just before the episode on Friday, he said, I'm hoping for a meta episode of The Archers tonight where the ghost of World War II Connie visits Chelsea and gives her insight into the life of Connie, and Chelsea plays all the parts. He will have been disappointed then.
Yeah, that didn't quite happen, did it?
Not really, no.
On the subject of that, Rob said, this may seem a bit meta, but if this thing that Linda has written is the best thing ever, and presumably they'll perform it, doesn't that mean the scriptwriter thinks they will be writing the best thing ever?
Yes, that is meta. And if they actually think that was the best thing written, they're quite ill, I think.
Rob was kind of also echoing what you said about Lillian didn't go straight into lockdown when they suspected it. She dilly-dallied a bit, didn't she?
Dilly-dallied a bit. Oliver galloped straight into the middle of the stables.
Yeah, once again, we've got a Friday without massive event or cliffhanger, really.
Yeah, what was the actual ending bit?
The stables. Jakob said, I don't think I can make any promises about Duke's survival.
Oh, that's right. And I tweeted, well, that was jolly. It was a bit grim, wasn't it?
Surely they're not going to kill Harrison off on a Saturday.
Oh, get it over with.
The other thing was that we found out Markie's gone down for selling stolen goods because Harrison said to Ken he was selling things out of a van, and then he paused and went, several vans.
Oh.
Then they searched his apartment and found loads of dodgy goods. So he's probably going to go down now for this.
His apartment was full of meat and dogs.
Yeah. It's a bad combination, isn't it?
Yes.
He hasn't thought this one through.
Carnage.
And then he said, don't worry, we'll still get him on the dog attack. If I was Kent, I'd be like, oh, just forget the dog attack bit, will you?
Yeah.
You can do him on everything else. I don't want to kind of have that raised up and have to go to court.
Did they say how long he'd gone down for?
Well, he's currently sitting in a cell. He hasn't gone down. There's been no
right.
case
You mean
yet.
he's been nicked, right? Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
But he said he didn't think he'd get bail.
Lovely. That's that tied up then.
Yeah. All right, Keri. Let's have a little break and then go into the rest of our socials and people who got in touch, shall we?
Yeah.
Helen Archer is a terrible person.
Helen Archer wants to tax laughing.
Don't vote for Helen Archer.
Helen Archer will ban smiling.
A vote for Helen Archer is a vote for really bad cheese.
Helen Archer wants to build a McDonald's on Ambridge Village Green.
Vote Celia Sparrow.
Keri, it's happened again. We've got 2 emails.
Ooh, good. I like these.
Chris Charlson, who won the Fantasy Football League, has emailed in.
Yes.
He said, hi there. After listening to your podcast for a while now, I finally subscribed to the Cider Shed podcast on Patreon. Loving what you do and your hilarious insights on the Archers and its weird and wonderful characters. Living in Sydney, Australia, none of my friends or family listen to the Archers and have no understanding of what it is or why so many people do listen regularly. Your commentary and observations reinforced many of the thoughts I've had for a while. Oh, Chris, our condolences. I'm sure I did a 5-star review a while back, but we'll do another one shortly. Woohoo!
Whoa.
I also really enjoyed the fantasy football competition and was somewhat surprised to actually win it. I somehow managed a strong finish when others seemed to falter. He's added, I'm really not sure how the patron thing works, but we'll enjoy finding out. Regards, Chris. Oh, Chris, you are welcome. And congratulations on your championship. Patron, you'll get our bizarre midweekers, which is generally just me and Keri discussing Archers and other things. And you'll get the main podcast early as soon as it's ready with no ads.
Oh, so he's in Sydney. So the prize merchandise has to go to Sydney.
It does. It does. We'll have to figure it. It's not impossible.
What I'd like is if you can share your address, please, on the Patreon email or whatever.
Reply to the email that you sent me, Chris, and let me know your details to the hello@thecidershed.com. Congratulations, Chris. Yeah, and welcome to the Patreon too. And we have another one from Colin. It says, Dear Matthew and Keri, I know the accident is a long time ago, but I still have this black thought. If there had not been an accident, what was George going to do with Alice when he got her home? I thought about this at the time. He'd already told Will that he was going to get her home.
Yeah.
I think the worst he would have done was made a shitty video out of it, about how trash she was.
So is the implication that he might have actually sort of sexually assaulted her or something?
Yeah, and I don't think he would have done that.
That is a dark thought, isn't it? I mean, it has my mind, but I can see why it might cross the minds of...
No, humiliation's more his thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think he would have probably just got a kick out of making a funny video out of it, like he did with Helen that time when she went at him in the tea shop, in the tea room. Yeah, so if you want to send us an email, you can do that at hello@thecidershed.com.
Oops, motorbike.
Your biker boyfriend arriving. So we've got 3 new patrons this week, Keri.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, first up, Lucy Boucher.
Welcoming Lucy Boucher into the Cider Shed Patreon posse.
Badger!
Thanks so much for your support, Lucy.
Ooh.
Welcome, Lucy. Thank you very much. Next, the aforementioned Chris Charlson.
Here he comes!
Chris Charleston, cutting inside, takes it on his left foot. He can see the Cider Shed Patreon. He shoots. He scores! What a great decision by Charleston there. Thanks, Chris. You champ.
Yay!
Thanks, Chris. Penny Knowles.
Hey there, Penny Knowles. We are delighted to have you with us as a Cider Shed patron. Many thanks for your support.
Badger!
Oh.
Nice, Penny. Thank you very, very much. If you want to support the Cider Shed, you can go to www.patreon.com/The Cider Shed. Do you know it's so hot here? It's actually like walking into an oven outside. It's still. Like there's like a still kind, and there's a vague breeze, but the breeze is the breeze is hot. So it's actually better to have like all the shutters down at the moment.
Do you have aircon or not?
No, I have a series of fans.
Okay, well, we know that, Matthew.
Yeah, they're arriving soon in a minute, Kerry, so we better crack on.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks to everyone who supported us, and there was a kind of a slightly different patron episode this week in the midweek, as no doubt people will have heard, so we'll get back to the feedback on that. Thanks everyone who got involved. Kerry, another way of supporting the podcast is writing a review, right?
Yeah, we've got a new 5-star review, and it's from Curlew 1905, and the title is "Came for the Gossip," and then it continues about an other podcast that shall not be named, and stayed for the pierogi, irreverence, and lifestyle tips. It's certainly more fun than the show. So thank you so much for that. And if you would like to add to our 5-star reviews, which would be amazing, instructions on how to do that are always in the podcast notes.
Indeed. And if you want to follow us on Facebook, we have a Facebook group called The Cider Shed Podcast, and Instagram is @The Cider Shed Pod.
And Twitter is @The Cider Shed Pod. Blue Sky is @The Cider Shed Pod.bsky.social.
And before we go, I've got one final question for you.
Great.
Because when they were deciding they weren't going to use Ben and Chelsea, one of Linda or Robert said, okay, we just need to find a happy couple with no problems. Can you think of one in Ambridge?
Oh, I was going to say that's us. I thought you were saying that we fit the bill.
Well, obviously we fit it, but we're not in the Archers.
We're not, are we? I keep forgetting that, yeah. Okay, a happy couple with no problems. Ooh.
It's tough, isn't it?
Have Natasha and Tom currently got problems?
They were they were probably my third couple I thought of, and I definitely wouldn't put them down as having no problems.
But at the moment they haven't, have they? Really? I mean, I'm clutching at straws because there aren't many others, are there? But who are your top two then? Jill and Leonard?
Yeah, it's a kind of happiness, isn't it?
Linda and Robert themselves.
I'm going to leave that with you and the listeners. Linda and Robert, yeah, they probably are. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you all soon, okay?
Bye.
Bye.